Fire away.
How's Mack Wilson been playing since Kirksey went down, and what's all of that meant to you?
Yeah, I mean, Mack's doing a really good job right now. Obviously, it's on-the-job training, being a young guy. So he's going to go through, some growing pains, and every day he learns more and more and more, and he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable, not only within the system, but the speed of the game at this level. So I thought he took another step this past weekend in terms of his play, his alignment, his communication across the board. I thought he did a pretty good job, and he's continuing to show progress in that area.
He showed knack for interceptions in training camp, and then he sort of tailed off. Do you still see that in practice from him?
I do. I saw it today. Out here in practice, he got his hands on a couple of balls earlier today. He does have a natural feel in space and some instincts and being able to read the quarterback and the route progression. So, honestly, I'm excited about Mack. Every time he steps on the field, I think he's a dynamic player. I think, like I mentioned earlier, he's a young player that will continue to develop, but I feel like he has a knack for the ball. He'll be around the football, and he's going to be a big-time player for us.
Is there even more pressure on him because of the 4-2-5? I mean, that's kind of a lot to throw at a rookie when, sometimes you only got two linebackers out there.
No. Really, the alignment doesn't have anything to do with it at all. He's playing the will linebacker, and our alignment, our nickel defense, that nickel is really like a Sam linebacker, so it's not much of a big deal.
What makes Joe Schobert as good as he is, as consistently good as he is?
Well, he's a student of the game. His football IQ is extremely high. He studies it. He works at it. He takes coaching. He wants to do everything that we're asking him to do. He wants to do it the right way. I think he's shown a lot of improvement just overall with his fundamental, his technique, playing with his hands. His tackling in space has improved. So really pleased with where Joe's at, and hopefully he'll continue to grow and get better as we get further into the season.
When you lost Kirksey, what does that do to your room?
It's not only to the room losing Kirksey, it's to our football team overall. It's a huge blow, just from not only a playing standpoint but also an emotional standpoint. He means a lot. He's a tremendous leader in this locker room here, and he's been around, so it's been great. He's kind of understands what his role is right now, and he's here for his teammates, for the young guys in the room, and I'm just happy he's here, and hopefully he can get back sooner than we think.
A lot of times, almost every week, I get questions about Jannard Avery and kind of what's happened to Jannard this year, and I'm just wondering, did he kind of get caught between two positions? Is there still an opportunity for him to find a home and get on the field?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. I think it's difficult from a standpoint of, again, when Jannard came out of college, he was primarily an edge defender, an edge rusher, and that was kind of his forte. So playing off the ball as a linebacker, there's a lot of different elements that go into that with key progression, reads. Things on the line of scrimmage happen a lot sooner than they do when you're standing 4 or 5 yards off the ball. So, I think Jannard has a dynamic skill set in terms of how he plays the game. He plays with passion, energy. He's relentless with his effort, and we're always, just trying to find a way to find a role and a niche for him in our system right now.
What's your progress report on Taki?
Taki's coming along. He had a pretty good practice today, got some work in there, and again, young football player coming out of BYU. So I kind of joke sometimes with the young guys that in college they tell you there's the ball, go get it. In the NFL, we kind of give you a map, for lack of a better term, to go find it. So he's done a good job. He's picking up the system. He's communicating. He's making all the calls, and he's doing a really good job, from what I understand, with his role in special teams right now. So he's a primary backup for us. He's got to be ready to play when called upon.
How much more is on his plate than like Mack, for instance, because of the position, the differences?
Yeah, well, when you talk about all of those things, like today in practice, all of those guys, Mack, he repped the Mike linebacker position, he repped the will. Same thing with Talk. Talk started out at the Mike linebacker position, then he went to the Will linebacker. So position flex is important for us because it's not necessarily who the next Mike backer is or Will backer. It's the next best linebacker going into the game is what we're trying to get. So you have to have a pretty good understanding of the defense and overall, and then how the different positions interact and how they fit together and how the pieces work together.
So is Mack just farther along than Taki as a rookie? And is that why he was the next man up when Kirk went there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that, Mack demonstrated some things in the preseason that gave him an opportunity to get on the field. I do think he's got tremendous playmaking ability, and he's picked up the system, and he's more of a Will linebacker. He can play the Mike, but he's more of a Will linebacker, whereas Talk's more natural role would be as a Mike linebacker. But as I mentioned, you have to have that position flex in terms of who the next guy in the game is.
Is there any reason why Taki's wearing your last name on his jersey? Seems like there's a story behind it.
If you can find out, get to the bottom of it, I'd appreciate it. I know it's now we had the white jerseys on last week, I believe, and he had his normal name on it. Today we had the brown jersey on. Defense did that, and he came out and I saw it again, and I don't know, someone's liking to play jokes on me right now. So it's between downstairs in the locker room, the equipment room, and upstairs. I don't know where it's coming from.
One more thing about Schobert. What does it say about him when he's already been to the Pro Bowl and now, but he's taking his game seemingly to another level?
Yeah, that's a tremendous credit to him. To bounce back after last season, coming off of injury, and then, like I said, he's really bought into what we're coaching, and he's really trying to do everything exactly the way you want it, which you love that as a coach because Joe's really, he wants to obviously do well for himself, and also in his mind he wants to please us as well, which is really cool to see. He's having a tremendous year. We got to continue to grow and improve and make more plays. That's what I'm always harping on. More plays. We can make a lot of tackles. Let's get some forced fumbles, some interceptions. Which he's come close on some of those things. He's already had a forced fumble this year.